Hey, y'all. Welcome to Cross Politic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. It's good to be with you this Monday evening. Pastor Toby Chalk knocks on the water boy. We're all in the studio together. And we're going to talk Kamala Harris and Youngkin. Glenn Youngkin. At this point, how do you say his last name? We don't even care because he's practically a Democratic governor, as you'll see coming up. We're going to be in Knoxville. We actually had some friends send us some Knoxville shirts saying, hey, we can't wait for you guys to come to Knoxville. October 6th through the 8th.
They sent me two.
Toby, do the math. I got one. Knox got two.
They sent me two shirts.
He's stealing one. He's stealing from you.
The Fight Laugh Feast conference is 2.5 months away.
Ooh.
Knoxville, Tennessee, October 6th through the 8th. Beer, Psalms, fellowship, our amazing line of speakers like George Gilder, Dr. Jared Longshore, Pastor Doug Wilson, Dr. Ben Merkel, Bishop Toby, the family is a nuclear weapon Sumter. What did you do?
Huh?
He's got special sounds.
Gabe hasn't secured our special surprise yet, so
but
we
they're
can't
coming.
tell you about it.
It's coming.
Is it coming?
But we can tell you that there will be awesome vendors. How'd you do that to my voice?
You mean this thing?
There will be awesome vendors. New friends to meet. Maybe your child's future spouse. That they meet while playing in the jumpy castles.
It could happen.
Save money by signing up for a club membership today. Club members get $100 off.
Yep.
FightLaughFeast.com. Sign up, register for the conference with that club discount. We can't wait to fellowship, sing psalms, and celebrate God's goodness in Knoxville with you.
That's
October 6th through the 8th. And if you want me to get a t-shirt, apparently you have to send it directly to me.
Somebody
probably at
sent
my
me
church
too.
office. Don't send it to Cross Politics.
I don't know how they just sent me two shirts.
They don't.
I just took it.
It was hand delivered at Knox.
They did tell me
that was the problem. It was
it
hand
could be
delivered
for you, but I was like, nah, he don't even like shirts.
He's a pastor. We need to keep him humble.
You ever see him in a t-shirt? No,
we need to keep him humble. So this past Sunday, Kamala Harris and Glenn Youngkin were on Kamala Harris's media arm, Face the Nation.
We're just months away from the midterm elections. Finish this sentence for me. Americans need to vote for Democrats in November because.
That November, as you know, is just around the corner. And boy, the Democrats look to be heading into losing a majority in the House and in the Senate. In fact, Republicans are looking to gain anywhere from 225 to 255 seats in the House.
Wow.
Okay. All they need is to flip. Actually, all they need is 218 seats to have the simple majority
In the House.
Okay, in the House, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
it looks like they're already going to get the simple majority in the House. The GOP is looking to flip about 10 seats in the Senate, which would eliminate Kamala Harris's her vote tie, the tie for the vote, and gave the Republicans a potential 60 Senate seats. That's a lot.
So
That's
you
a lot.
got different problems to worry about then.
Polls are showing that 64% of Democratic voters want Biden out of the 2024 race, which is surprising because Biden won 2020 with 80 million votes.
Yeah, but polls also said that Trump was going to lose.
Surprising. All right. And if you guys I gave you guys some stats on this. If you guys pulled up,
Gave us
actually
papers.
see, page 2 of 5, you'll see there. This is the New York Times Quinnipiac poll or Siena College poll.
You got a
Excuse me.
magnifying glass?
I know.
What?
But page 2, you'll see that
Got numbers on it?
only 26% of Democrats want Biden to run in 2024. Only 26%. You'll see that on page 2 of 5.
Oh, yeah,
there.
you circled it for us.
Yep,
A
I
little
circled it
faint
for you, yeah.
circular.
Yeah.
Nominate Joe Biden as 2021
and
president.
64% don't want Biden.
They ain't got
not
many
a
other
good look.
options.
But he won 80 million votes. 80 million. It's incredible.
Was it 81?
He flipped it. Yeah, something like that. Now, the New York Times polling, which I'm showing you some of this, shows the top 2 issues Americans are most concerned about, and the Democrats aren't even close to addressing are, you guessed it, the economy and inflation. Again, you guys can pull up your...
Because that's their problems. and their faults.
They broke it, huh? So page 3 of 5 there, you'll see their top 2, and then it goes down to 3, 4, 5, and everything down from there.
I feel like I'm in a business meeting all of a sudden. I just toss mine away.
Inflation.
Hey, we're a real...
State of the democracy.
Yep.
Gun policies.
Those are top 4.
Abortion's only
It got
5%.
top 5, yeah, but it's 5%.
Only 5%,
Yeah.
but that's the 5th one.
So the Democrats are doing so bad, they can't even talk about the top 2 issues that actually matter to voters.
That's because they're dictators.
Hey, you know what? It says coronavirus 0%.
Finally.
I think that's winning.
Finally.
I think that's winning.
And they're still going to be talking about it. No.
So now Kamala Harris is on Face the Nation. This is her media arm, Face the Nation.
Oh, is it?
And she has some follow-up comments that we need to listen to.
I think all of us share a deep sense of outrage that the United States Supreme Court took a constitutional right that was recognized, took it from the women of America. I mean, sit back and think about that for a moment. The highest court in our land just took a constitutional right that was recognized for women to make decisions about their own bodies. And so now we are looking at a situation where the government can tell a person in our country what they can and cannot do with their own body. You don't have to agree that you want to or would advocate that you or a loved one would have an abortion to agree that the government should not be making that decision for any individual woman.
Didn't her administration just try to force vaccinate all the military?
Yeah.
Force vaccinate all the workers through OSHA?
I think they're still trying.
All the small businesses 100 or above?
Right.
Well, yeah, it wasn't
through OSHA?
Yeah, it wasn't just
Bands off our bodies.
Yeah.
Well, so Kamala Harris follows up with now talking about Roe.
Did Democrats fail, past Democratic presidents, congressional leaders, to not codify Roe v. Wade over the past 5 decades?
I do believe that we should have rightly believed, but we certainly believe that certain issues are just settled. Certain issues are just settled.
Clearly we're not.
No, that's right. And that's why I do believe that we are living, sadly, in real unsettled times. There's another example of this point, voting rights. Fundamental principle of our democracy is everyone should have access, who are entitled to have access to vote. And now you see states across the country that are intentionally making it more difficult for people to vote. We thought that was settled. We thought that was settled, at least by law, in the 60s.
So I'm confused. She said everyone should have the right to vote, right? Yeah. So, but I'm trying to figure out. So with the civil rights movement, which is the movement that acknowledges that every individual made in the image of God actually has rights given to them by God, not the state, to be treated as human beings, right? And so a human being has rights like voting that they should have. So, if you have to choose where the civil rights is going to land on whether or not we consider a baby in the womb a human being, are they going to land on the side of, I don't know, pro-choice or pro-life? Just with the idea of the civil rights movement. If we're going to bring in the civil rights movement and a sense of morality to say people should have the right to vote, right? If they have the right to vote, do they not also have the right to live?
To live. That's a good point.
Well, I think.
Hey, hold on a second. Yeah. How do you get one and miss over the other?
Yeah. Right. Well, I think you're right. I think the 1960s civil rights would have fallen on the pro-life side of things. But I think because the
same people vote on should abortion be legal or illegal?
Well, I'm not just even thinking about, because some of the people in the civil rights movement were just trying to accomplish a Marxist ideology. So I want to be careful about that. But what the intent behind the movement was, where they actually had moral ground, was that people are made in the image of God.
Yeah. Right.
That was where they landed their flag at.
That was their moral plea.
Exactly.
Let them vote. Don't kick them out of your restaurants, your stores.
Can they buy and sell and have trade?
They're human beings.
Because they're human beings. Now,
made in the image of God.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you're going to use that to say that people are taking away your right to be able to reverse what the civil rights movement stood for?
Right. Right.
That's insane.
Right. Yeah.
Now I'm sorry we got to show you some more clips from Kamala Harris, but this is our vice president.
I don't think you're really sorry.
I don't think he is either.
Here's the next clip on her regarding her administration's responsibility for this.
What will this administration do to try to codify Roe, to try to, through Congress, put into law some of these priorities?
What we will do through the executive branch to ensure that women have the ability to travel freely, unencumbered, that women will have access to the medication.
They can travel. Women can't travel?
We also need Congress to act.
They can't
because
drive.
That branch of government is where we actually codify, which means put into law
Good. Yeah.
Thank you for
the
defining
rights
that.
that, again, we took for granted, but clearly have now been taken from the women of America. We've seen this in the past. If you think about it, the Voting Rights Act, Congress acted. Civil Rights Act, Congress acted because where there was any question, especially through the courts or any other system, about the sanctity of these rights, we decided as a nation we would put it into law. That's what we need to do with Roe and the principles behind Roe.
I'm sorry, Pastor, go ahead.
That's what we did with the Defense of Marriage Act.
That's right.
The Congress codified.
Yeah.
That's a word I learned from Kamala Harris.
What does it mean?
That means to put it into law.
Oh, let me write that down.
The Defense of Marriage Act, DOMA, signed into law
by Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton, who didn't know what marriage was, but signed it anyways. And I believe it passed unanimously.
Ooh.
The House and the Senate.
Wow.
Or there was like only 1 or 2 votes against it. It was unanimous
I'll Google it.
or near unanimous.
That's before they got woke.
That was before. Yeah, but I just want to know what happened to that codify.
Right. That's right.
What happened to that codify?
Right.
Because in a minute she's going to talk to us about a Obergefell possibly being overturned, and the interviewer is going to ask Youngkin about codifying Obergefell, same-sex marriage, and I want to know about the codification of marriage.
I think that Mormons and liberals serve the same guy where that they can change his mind anytime he wants.
Ooh.
So, that might be the reason why they can codify something
and
and then they just flip it up. They got new prophets. they got a new prophets with new visions, and so they can see things different.
All right, here's Kamala Harris talking about the pro-choice Congress.
We need to understand that states are passing laws because of what the Supreme Court has now allowed to happen. So what does this mean? It means that we're looking at elections coming up in 120-something days. They're going to be about who serves in Congress, and we need a pro-choice Congress. Again, you don't have to advocate or believe that this is right for you or your family, but don't let the government make the decision for her family, whoever she may be. It means state offices, governors, secretaries of state, attorneys general. It means
AG.
local races. Who's going to be your DA? Who's going to be your sheriff? Enforcing laws that are being passed to criminalize medical health providers and maybe even the women who seek the service.
Who's going to be your sheriff?
Yeah, they're running the play. They get that.
That's true.
But when she says you might not think that this is wrong, or I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. You're saying that if you have a slave master, you might not think slavery is wrong, but you don't have the right to tell them what to do with their slaves.
Right.
Wait a second. I thought that we have a sense of morality, period, on how people should be acting around it. What do you say that with seatbelts? It doesn't matter how you feel about seatbelts. It's don't tell them what to do with their bodies and seatbelts.
Right.
Stop that mess. This is a grab. This is a power grab. And we should be paying attention to this. Everything that they are doing is using morality as a way to get leverage so they can flip it into something else outside of true morality.
You just wish some interviewer would just ask the question, what's our standard for morality?
Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
Right? Where do we get our right and wrong?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a ha gotcha question. But ask her, where is that fixed right and wrong?
Do you think that women who have the right to have an abortion are getting this right from God?
Yeah, right.
Where do rights even come from?
Right. Where do rights come from? I think just if we had actual media personalities who would actually ask just those foundational questions. Where's that standard? I want to stand up for those rights. Where do they come from?
I don't think we can get Christians to answer that well.
I know.
We can't even get, because the problem is that if rights come from God, then you have to do with those rights what God tells you to do with them.
It's true.
Right. And so now we can't even get Christians to say, those come from God and you have to obey God with those rights. Christians don't like that last part either.
Yeah, right.
So
absolutely.
Well, I'm still curious on what her answer is, why people need to vote Democrat.
We're just months away from the midterm elections. Finish this sentence for me. Americans need to vote for Democrats in November because
our democracy is on the ballot. Truly. If you look at an issue like choice, It's on the ballot. A woman's right to make decisions about her own body and potentially what can happen in the not too distant future around issues like access to and making decisions about contraception or same-sex marriage. Elections matter. The people who are elected, especially to the United States Congress, will decide the outcome of all of these issues. Voting rights, the ability of us to pass voting rights legislation, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, the Freedom to Vote Act, will be a function of who is in Congress.
I don't believe that.
No.
At all.
No.
I mean, I think there's more access to voting than there ever has been before.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
this is just crazy talk.
Especially
Well, states
that-
like New Jersey and Delaware have tighter restrictions than even the Georgia law that got passed. I mean, it's all silly.
But even the restrictions,
Yeah.
I mean, they're not like,
Yeah.
it's nothing like what was going on in the 50s and 60s.
Well, it's why you could get 80 million people to vote for you and win.
It's nothing like it was happening back in the 1800s.
You guys are taking me too seriously when I say 80 million people are voting. And
No. I mean,
80 million people
Gabe,
voted for Biden.
dead or alive, they're voting, okay? So
And even if they voted 3 times or
If they
4
still
times,
voted, it
was
doesn't
people
matter.
who voted, Gabe.
I
Man.
think, Pastor, what we're getting a sense of what it means for the left and the Democrats to actually be on their heels. I think we need to take a moment and examine,
That's
like,
right.
they know that they're on their heels. They know that they're losing ground, and they got hit in the mouth. And
right.
we need to look at this and say, this is the first time I can think of where Republicans haven't looked like they've been running.
Right. Well, and I just want to point out, like, again, if this poll means anything, and I don't trust polls at all, but if you know,
It's pretty consistent. It's pretty consistent in terms of
It
response.
doesn't need anything at all.
But just notice that the top 4 things on their lists are the things they think are most important problems facing the country. These are Democrats,
No, citizens.
just citizens.
Yeah.
She's not talking about the top 4. Economy,
Right.
inflation, state of the democracy a little bit.
How
but
can they
gun
talk about
policies-
the economy?
I mean, she's down at abortion and
They can't talk about the economy with any equity.
voting rights. I don't know, is the voting rights even on here? I don't know where that is.
we need-
Immigration, human rights, crime, climate change, voting rights, 1%.
Yeah.
That's her.
Because people know. I mean, but
Yeah, but
again,
that's just the siren.
Yeah.
She's trying to grab people by their fears, and not by truth at all.
Yeah, right. 100%.
And
And she says democracy is on the ballot.
Right.
You remember in California when they voted to pass Proposition 8? That was a Democratic passage
Right.
of
same thing.
Same thing.
A Defense of Marriage Definition
Yep.
Act, and the people voted
and the Democrats didn't like the outcome,
Right.
and so they appealed to the California Supreme Court.
and got it to knock down.
Yep, that's right.
I
But,
think we might be at a different place with some of that voting now, though.
The other that's true. The other thing though is I was thinking as she was talking is it's like, okay, so since 1776, the
Declaration of Independence.
Declaration of Independence to 1789, the Constitution is ratified all the way
Ratification.
up to 1973 with Roe.
Yeah.
There was absolutely no constitutional right to abortion.
That's right.
And even after Roe, there wasn't.
did we live in a free republic
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
for 200 years?
Yeah.
And yes, we did. So what? But we at worst
That got freer, by the way.
yeah, absolutely.
That got freer.
That's right. That's right.
And
Yeah, we enslaved people
Right.
It got
in the
freer
1860s.
from that
That's right.
time.
and that was the other thing I didn't bring up, but Dred Scott, anybody?
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't that settled constitutional law that we thought we had that black people don't have rights?
Dred Scott that took
Yeah.
the.
Hey,
go ahead.
Hey, I need to tell you guys about Bobo Construction because you guys need to stop sending your hard-earned money to companies that hate you.
And support people like Kamala.
It's time to build a Christian economy, and Bobo Construction is literally doing just that. For all of your construction needs, partner with Bobo Construction Incorporated today. For any project in California, Nevada, Washington, or Idaho, contact Austin Bobo at the letter A, B-O-B-O, at boboconstructioninc.com or visit the website at boboconstructioninc.com. Can you do that thing with my voice? Whatever is fair and right, that's what we do. Bobo Construction Inc.
That was pretty amazing.
No, you don't get to do that.
I did. So Glenn Youngkin actually followed up Kamala Harris.
Who?
I don't even care. On Face the Nation. And so we're talking about.
He just says it however he wants.
Yep. And so what? Why should we vote for the Democrats?
You gonna lay hands
Well,
on me?
why should we vote for Glenn?
The debate on abortion has been raging for a long time. And I believe, as a pro-life governor, that life begins at conception. And my job as a pro-life governor in a state in Virginia where 18 months ago, the debate in our General Assembly was around whether abortion should be allowed all the way up through and including birth, funded by taxpayer money. And so this in Virginia is a debate that we are going to run too. The Supreme Court's decision, I agree with, that this is a decision for states to make by elected officials.
Or God.
By the citizens of Virginia. That's why right out of the box, I called for a 15-week pain threshold bill to be formed and crafted by a bipartisan group of legislators.
So brave.
And I think this is what it's all about.
Brave.
This is a moment for our country to have a discussion around this, and each state will decide something different. And I think that's the real value of the Supreme Court's decision.
You remember we did a show with our now governor of our state, Brad Little, and we asked him one of the questions we asked him. It was like the first question we asked him. We said, "Hey, Trump is elected.
No, yeah.
What can we do now?
What's your play?
What's your play? Yeah. Let's be bold. Trump was bold.
I think
Let's
he
be
even
bold.
said, I think he was the one that even said, we have a real opportunity right now with Trump
I remember this.
in office
I remember
to
this.
really be bold and courageous.
And you asked him, what does
I said,
being bold look
like?
like?
What would you do? And he said,
transportation.
He said, I think we can really do something with the roads of Idaho.
And I believe that at that moment, Toby spit his beer out. I think that was the thing that got you to spit your beer out on that show. And this is similar to me, Glenn Youngkin. He got elected.
Yeah.
He changed.
I believe that life begins at conception.
And we can get 15 weeks.
Oh, wait, you missed a part. I think we should run to this.
Run to this.
That's what he said.
Run.
We should run.
Right to the thing that the Supreme Court said I could do.
Republicans, behold your cowards. This next clip is him talking about a full ban. Is he against it or is he for it? What's going on?
Will you ever pursue a full ban on abortion in Virginia?
Well, the reality is that as a pro-life governor,
you already know. You already know. He just says the reality is.
I have a Senate that's controlled by Democrats and a House that's controlled by Republicans. We have to find a way to get things done.
Oh, no.
And I believe that's what we've been able to do, is get things done at a time where you have to bring people together in order to make progress.
It's a Democrat.
As I said, I believe life begins at conception. In
Not
Virginia,
really.
we've got to work with a Senate and
There's
a
no
House.
conviction there.
This is what we've been doing.
But will you ever pursue a full ban?
Well, I believe that what my job is to get something
reality
done.
is.
And I believe we can get a 15-week pain threshold bill done in Virginia for the first time. Think about it. This was a state, again, that just 18 months ago was talking about enabling abortion all the way up through and including birth. And now we're able to talk about a 15-week pain threshold bill where a baby feels pain. This is a remarkable moment for us, and it's an opportunity I'm not going to let go.
Oh.
If Glenn was King Solomon, he'd been like, yeah, split the baby. Just split it. That's it.
So
all the way.
This is how they tell you.
I don't think he would have been that smart.
No, but
he would actually cut it. He would actually cut the baby. That's what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, but I also
when you have guys like this are purebred politicians.
Yeah.
And you are not going to get a truthful answer. And what he just told you was no in the nicest possible way.
Yeah.
You will not see life at conception protected.
Right. He's almost talking like the Democrats in the 90s, safe, legal, and rare. It's what it sounds like to me.
This is a very scary thing. You might have been better getting somebody else.
Yeah.
Because this guy will take you down a path quiet and sleepy and put you to and kill you at the end of the day.
What you want to do with this guy is you got to put him under pressure.
Yeah.
The conservatives in Virginia need to push hard. You might be able to get him to squeeze a little bit further right, a little bit further conservative, a little bit further Christian if you squeeze hard.
Hopefully Winsome Sears does some pressure on that side.
What's that?
Yeah. Winsome Sears, his lieutenant governor.
Yes,
yes. So hopefully she is, because she got way more of a backbone than he does.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a lot of mealy mouth.
It'd be great to get her on the show and respond to this. Yeah.
She's not going to do
All
that
right.
publicly.
So is he for exceptions or not?
You support exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. Some other Republican governors do not. Republicans. Are they wrong?
Again, I think this is a moment where we have to reflect on our personal beliefs. And
Personal beliefs.
As a pro-life governor, I have really reflected on my own faith and my beliefs, and I do believe that there should be exceptions that are made in the case of rape and incest, and when the life of the mother is truly at risk. Again, this is a moment, though, where people have to come together. The one thing that's very much agreed upon in Virginia today is that we want fewer abortions, not more. And I think this is a chance over the next 5 months for
Safe,
a bipartisan group
rare.
of legislators to craft a path there and give me a bill that I can sign.
Just so you know, when we have the life of the mother and the life of the child, we're seeking to save both. That's not
That's
considered
not
an abortion.
Right, that's right.
That is not an abortion anyway. And the fact that people would even consider that the case, I was telling my kids, look, if I got two people on one side of me and one on the other side of me, and I'm trying to keep them from falling off into a cliff and I'm on a bridge, and somehow something happens where my hand gets slipped and they fall, I'm not trying to kill that person.
Right.
I'm trying to save their life.
Right.
And so they paint abortion as if, oh, you just aborted him and I committed murder. That's not a murder.
No, what they're asking is if you have two kids on the bridge and one of them slipping, can you shoot it?
Right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, now.
Like,
Shoot it before it falls off.
Yeah, exactly. And, and we're saying, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You may not kill. You may not murder the baby. Now, there are situations medically where we don't yet have the technology to save both lives.
That's
but
right.
if we could, we would.
That's exactly right.
And that's not abortion in those
In any
cases.
way. We were just looking it up earlier that not even abortion clinics consider some of that stuff abortion. They're like, no, that's not an abortion because it's not planted inside. So anyway, the fact that they're using that kind of language now, when it comes to rape and incest, like I love the fact that this is such a clear argument. We don't punish people for their father's sins.
That's right. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And
And again, don't you just wish the interviewer would just say, so you believe that we should criminally punish babies for their father's crimes?
Yeah.
That's what I want to ask him right now.
That's right.
So let me just get this straight. You think if the father commits a crime, we should kill the baby?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what he just said. That's my personal belief, that in some
And
instances, rape and incest, we should kill the baby for the father's crimes.
Yeah.
No, that's injustice. That's wickedness. But nobody will actually ask the question.
Yeah, that's because we need people who can do those kind of interviews who actually have a moral foundation and have a biblical foundation and understand what objectivity is. They're all having this conversation from some neutral ground, a neutral playground. For all
it's
purposes.
not neutral.
That's true.
That's not neutral.
That's not neutral. No,
There's
you're
an
right.
agenda.
Okay, we're gonna have to. You're right. We're gonna have to finish this in the backstage. So if you're a Fight Laugh Feast Club member, come back there and hang out with us.
Yeah.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. If you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. So much more. Youngkin in the backstage.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross-politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.
The season of Augustine and the season of Cassiodorus were very different moments in a crucial transformation that occurred in the history of the Western liberal arts. All right, so just stay like this. How am I doing here? Yeah, you don't like this, huh? What does a Christian education look like when non-Christians are the ones who control the institutions of learning? This is a question that confronted Bishop Augustine of Hippo in North Africa in the 5th century AD. Augustine lived at the twilight of the Roman Empire. He himself had been trained with the best learning that Rome at that time had to offer. He himself actually came through the ranks and taught rhetoric in some of the best schools. And it was then, after he had come of age, that he converted to Christianity, but he wanted to continue the project of education, but this time for Christians. And so he had to confront the question, what does a Christian education look like when the unbelievers control the field? When they control the institutions, when the whole apparatus and curriculum of learning emerge from a pagan environment. And so Augustine wondered, what is it that Christians should jettison? What is it that Christians can embrace? What is it that Christians can adopt but in modified form? These are the questions that Augustine confronted when he sought to educate Christians in an environment when unbelievers dominated the field. A century later, we see a man in the south of Italy named Cassiodorus, who faced a very different educational landscape. He had to ask, what did a Christian education look like in an environment where unbelievers had abandoned the project of education altogether? The infrastructure of learning had entirely eroded. If education was to proceed at all, it had to proceed on the foundation of Christianity. The Christians had to be the ones preserving education. What does a Christian education look like when Christians are the ones forming the institutions, when Christians are the ones organizing the curriculum? Well, these two seasons in the history of education, the season of Augustine and the season of Cassiodorus, just 100 years apart, were very different moments in a crucial transformation that occurred in the history of the Western liberal arts. We're going to be studying this story. We're going to be going back to the sources. We're going to go back to Augustine. We're going to go back to Cassiodorus. We're going to ask ourselves which of their predicaments most resembles our own. Which can we learn from Augustine's period? What can we learn from Cassiodorus's period? As we confront these questions, we're going to engage these sources, and we invite you to join us here at New St. Andrews College.